let's get into this. Let's get into the show today. What a fan classic this one is. So we're gonna start off with the article that really has taken me by surprise. Let's get all you down here. This article right here, Milo Yiannopoulos. When is the last time any of you have heard an update about this fellow? Milo Yiannopoulos. He used to be all the craze back in the day. I remember when I was still in high school, when he was going to stop by the University of Maryland. And I was even thinking about going out to the University of Maryland to see the spectacle. That event was canceled, though, due to student rejecting his bigotry and not wanting him really to be there. There was also multiple other events as he toured the nation and spread Islamophobia, outed trans folk. Just a disaster all around. But of course, he fell from grace after his pedophilic comments and about pedophilia and priests and how priests interacting with extremely young boys in a inappropriate manner might be positive growing experience for them. Real disaster. It was on the Drunken Debates. Not Drunken Debates. No, it was on the Amazing Atheists old podcast. It's not by him. It's not controlled by them anymore. Drunken Peasants. Yes, it was a Drunken Peasants podcast. And after that, we never really heard updates from him. All we would hear is every once in a while is how his economic situation got worse and worse as he was driven into more and more debt. And as he recently, the last time I heard about him was when apparently he turned on the Trump movement because he said Trump turned and backstabbed America. That was the last time I heard anything from him, and I think it was after he posted something on Parler. But apparently, Milo Yiannopoulos looked at his bank account and, of course, saw it was empty. Milo Yiannopoulos looked around and said, wow, I sure do feel like an attention whore today, and I sure do feel like throwing my other gay folk under the bus. And you know what? He came out and he said, hallelujah. Hallelujah, I have been saved. No, I haven't come to Jesus. I'm no longer gay. I'm no longer gay. And my new mission is conversion therapy for all the gays. Hallelujah. Now, if you want to actually say it how it really is and be 100% honest about what the situation is, it's simple. Gay man advocates for torturing other gays because bank account empty. That's exactly what it is. He's a guy desperate for attention, desperate for money, and so, knowing that his old audience was mostly conservative, and that was how he got his bucks, how he got his dough, he simply looked around and said, what is something I can do to get money from them, to get attention? He's like, I know, I could appeal to the old guard of the Republican Party. I could appeal to the homophobia. I could come out and say, no, you're right. Being gay is a choice. I'm no longer gay, and we should convert them with conversion therapy, or as it is in layman's terms, torture. Professional right-wing troll Milo Yiannopoulos has declared himself no longer homosexual. Or, again, how we're stating it, bankrupt. In an interview with a right-wing life site, Yiannopoulos claims he is ex-gay and will direct his future endeavors to St. Jophus. I treat it like an addiction. You never stop being an alcoholic. I hope people will support and pray for me, and if for no other reason than share my delight at the prospect of Milo Yiannopoulos furiously and indignantly railing against homosexuals for sins of the flesh. Now, let's be clear. Milo Yiannopoulos was probably the most well-known gay conservative in this country. He, in fact, made being gay part of his shtick of how much he would talk about homosexual intercourse and his appeal to men and dicks. He talked about it all the time on tour. And in fact, this was one of the main tools he used to bludgeon Muslims. And what I mean by that is Milo Yiannopoulos had this shtick. Where he's like, oh my gosh, how the left has left us. How the left has left us gays. Oh my gosh. Back in the day, the left used to defend us, but now that the scary Muslims are around, they've abandoned us. They've left us to the wayside. And they care more about the brown Muslims than they do about us gay folk. The Oppression Olympics. But me, Milo Yiannopoulos, I'm a truth teller. I'll tell you how it is, how the Quran really is. Because I hate Sharia law, and I don't want scary people like Linda Sarsour to bring that here. No evidence ever presented that Linda Sarsour is going to bring Sharia law to America. There's no evidence of her with like an AK-47 joining some terror group. Just complete hogwash. But that was the narrative he painted. Was that his care for the gay community, his care for the condition of him and other gay folk compelled him to call out the hypocrisy on the left on how they were fine taking in refugees who were Muslim. Christian refugees is different. That's fine. That's totally fine. But Muslim refugees, though, that's scary. And of course, this type of rhetoric we saw continue not only from him, but from, what Huey called Daddy Trump, when Trump, of course, came forward and said famously, I am calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. Why am I getting on this spiel right now? Because he used his homosexuality as a bludgeon, a tool to attack Muslim people. That he cared so much about the gay community and gay struggles and how they're being treated in countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia, that he had to stand up and say something. He had to be a truth teller. But immediately, once he's out of the spotlight, he takes that identity and throws it under the bus to grow the favor and attention of the far right in this country and hopefully get their money and donations so he can spread the message of hating yourself, hating who you are as a gay person. Someone who cared so much about the gay community that he had to speak out against these countries that treat gays in an undignified and a disgusting human rights abusing way. He wanted to stop that from coming to America. And then 2 years later, Milo Yiannopoulos is advocating for the same policies he used to attack Muslims Americans for, which, by the way, en masse, they don't even hold. He uses his gay identity to attack Muslims, and then when nobody's looking, he takes it, throws it under the bus, and says, being gay is wrong, conversion therapy. Of course, it's not a surprise that Milo is a grifter. We've all known he's been a grifter for a very long time. An attention-seeking person who just wants to deal with the debts he has. This isn't anything new. But I just find it funny that in the span of 2 to 3 years, he went from trying to protect the gay community from the scary nations of Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the scary Muslims. And then 3 years later, he is advocating for the policies that he was supposed to be defending the gay community from. Because don't get it twisted. Conversion therapy is torture. It's psychological and sometimes physical torture. It is getting a person to hate themselves for being who they are. It is putting somebody into a camp where they are convinced by scam artists and some of the most disgusting individuals in the society that they are wrong for being born the way they were born. And that they need to repress it and live a life, a fake one, where they can never really find true love and someone to share that life with. And that is what he's now advocating for. The same things he used to rail against when it was the quote-unquote Muslims doing it. But now that he's finished bludgeoning the Muslim community, he's going to turn it on other gay people. Of course, the idea that he's no longer gay is hogwash. Of course he's gay. Him trying to fight sins of flesh, it's nothing more than a scam to get attention, because the fact of the matter is, nobody cares about Milo anymore. He's become completely irrelevant, nobody talks about him, and now that he's turned on the Trump movement, quote unquote, now the few little scragglers who still followed him on Parler have abandoned him too. And so now he's just trying to get attention. But you know what? Maybe it's just that Milo finally wants to get closer to that faction of the alt-right that was never going to accept him because they just looked at him like some queer. He announced a new vocation as well, a dedication to the discredited and widely banned practice of forcibly subduing homosexuality. Over the next decade, I would like to help rehabilitate what the media calls conversion therapy. It is unclear whether Yiannopoulos remains legally married. The guy I live with has been demoted to housemate, and he took some time during the interview to indulge in transphobia as well, claiming blanks are demonic. Of course, saying T-slurs. So, Milo Yiannopoulos has turned on his own, quote-unquote, and is now advocating for them to be tortured, to torture the gay away. Convert them away from their homosexuality and make them hate themselves. So, let's be clear. When a lot of these figures stand up and say, guys, I didn't leave the left. The left left me. The left wasn't on the ones, on the pillars, on the tables, yelling for conversion therapy, Milo. It was never, oh, the liberals just got too radical for you. It was just, this is who you are. Somebody who chooses profits over morals and money over your community. Simple as. Anyway, that's all I have to say on the Milo Yiannopoulos matter. He is a adult, a scam artist, a dunderhead, if we want to use our terminology, and a fool. I will be happy to see him continue to fade into obscurity, and I hope that this is just something that gets him more isolated from everyone else. Who knows? You never know with some of these conservative groups, though. Now that he's claiming to be ex-gay, while most likely still getting pounded by his roommate, he'll probably get sent money maybe by some of these conversion therapy or extremely far-right conservative groups. Because don't get me wrong, right? While the homophobia has been died down a little bit, it was only 6 years ago when Rush Limbaugh was comparing homosexuality to bestiality. While the homophobia has been died down, it's still there. The conservative movement is still trying to fight gay people on the rights to adopt and the rights for their own tax money to be used for them to access services they paid for through their tax money when it comes to adoption services and government money that goes to adoption centers who don't want to service gay people. How I look at it is simple. If I pay tax dollars, I should be able to access that service if it is a public good, and my identity, my race, sexuality, none of it should matter or come into effect. And if they don't want to do that, if these adoption centers don't want to do that, simple. They don't get government money. Do you think Milo is getting girls? No. No, he's still gay. He's just self-hating gay. Simple as. I'm very careful with the term self-hating, but if you are advocating for other gays to get conversion therapy and calling homosexuality a sin of the flesh, you are, by definition, a self-hating gay. It is a stunt. Because we got two options here. Number one, Milo is a self-hating gay who is doing this for attention, but maybe someone believes it, or he's just a complete grifter. I think it might be a combination of the two, but I'm definitely leaning towards just complete grifter who's willing to throw his community under the bus for money. But you know what? It'll make it easier, personally. I think it would make it easier for us to go after conversion therapy types when they're doing this because they want to protect us from, as Milo said, sins of the flesh, if they recruit this pedophile sympathizer. So, all yours, conservative right. You truly are standing up for standing up against sexual deviancy when you recruit this guy. Take him aboard. That's enough for that story.